I'm here today on the podcast with Marianne, who is no stranger to being on podcasts. How many podcasts have you been on?
I would say probably at this point 4 or 5 plus our own. So yeah, not necessarily a podcast veteran, but podcast competent.
Okay. I would say that's more than any of my other guests.
Whoa. Well,
4 to 5, yeah.
cool. Happy to hold the record.
That means I have high expectations for this conversation.
Then in that case, I've only been on one podcast.
The only one that matters, which is this one. I'll let you introduce yourself, whether it's things you're interested in, about your family, or what you do for work. Yeah, tell us about Marianne.
Yeah, so hi everybody. My name is Marianne, and I live in Orange County, California with my husband and my dog child, Gwendolyn, which is a corgi. And I am in my day job, I own a consulting business for government. I own a community development consultancy, which is Jess, Pat's husband, worked with me for a year. And I am also just a book nerd who loves to read and write. So I actually just published a children's picture book that is coming out, that just got published yesterday for pre-order, and is going to come out officially August 1st. It's called I Came Here For You, and it is a children's picture book about immigration that took me 5 years to make. So I started it in 2020. Yes, if anyone ever has questions about the publishing process, come to me. And so 100% of the profits are going to a local nonprofit here in California.
Amazing.
For this month. Yeah.
I just pre-ordered my copy on Amazon, so I'm excited to get it. It told me I would get it August 1st. Is that it?
Yeah, because
right?
that's the day it's published officially.
Okay.
So yeah, tip number one for those people interested in writing is pre-order periods are very important for your analytics.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's why we have it there, so you know.
You're not self-published, right? You went through a publisher.
No, so I am self-published, but because I am so entrepreneurial, really I just ended up creating my own imprint called Tender Roots Publishing. Okay. Since publishers help with the selling and the marketing of your book, and that's really what they bring to the table, and I already sell and market for a living as a business owner. So, and then I did it in partnership with a hybrid publishing company that helps with the actual printing and the parts of book publishing that I don't know, like getting your ISBNs, registered with the Congress and whatever all that entails.
Okay. And then you have another project that you wanted to bring up.
Yes, my friend Demi and I have a podcast called More Magic, and it is a fantasy podcast where we just talk about books, fantasy books that we like, that are popular. So we just finished our first one. It's going to be published soon, about my favorite author, Brandon Sanderson, and his book, Tress of the Emerald Sea. So yeah, just love to read and write, and I'll take any opportunity to do either or.
Do you see yourself as an author, as a grant writer, as a podcaster? Especially when people ask you, what do you do?
That I always struggle with the what do you do. Right now, being in my 30s, my answer is I just do whatever I want to do. Whatever I feel like. Okay, like professionally, like on LinkedIn, I would say I'm a social impact expert is like how I brand myself. And a lot of the work I do is like very impact focused. Like my children's picture book is on immigration. My work is community development. Even this podcast is really to promote like positivity. So I would say maybe I'm a social impact entrepreneur is probably how I would describe myself to like professionals, if I'm in a professional setting. But if it's between friends, it's just, hey, this is what I'm doing.
Right.
Want to join me? That's really what it is.
I like your answer of doing whatever the heck I want to do. I think that's quintessential millennial.
Totally.
Which I don't think there's anything wrong with. I'm technically Gen Z, but I remember someone making the comment that one of the classic characteristics of the millennials, they got their side gigs.
That is so funny. And all of my Gen Z, like people in my life tell me that I am the most basic millennial. Like I am just such a millennial, like cut and copy paste millennial. So that makes sense. Even my dog's name is Lady Gwendolyn Wigglebutt. And my brother's girlfriend told me like, that is a millennial name. And I was like, okay, so what would a Gen Z like name their dog? And she was like, Blorg.
That's pretty accurate.
Really?
That's pretty accurate.
Okay.
I don't even understand Gen Z humor. I couldn't describe it to you. It just, the more nonsensical it is, usually that means it's Gen Z.
Yes, it's very Salvador Dali. Like I am just such a millennial. 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 Like, just very surreal.
Okay.
Surreal. Like, I don't
Yeah,
get it. I'm like, what?
right.
Am I on drugs?
Right. Like my Gen Z friends will see a meme of just a cropped out, blurry picture of something. And that's the meme.
Hilarious.
It's the whole thing.
If you think of it.
I want to get into the icebreaker so that we can get to know you even better. I have prepared this one because you have so many things going on. I am very curious about this myself. But Marianne, what would your perfect day look like?
My perfect day.
Walk us through from waking up to head back on the pillow.
I have no idea. What is my perfect day? A day where I don't have to work. Okay, I think a perfect day for me is one where I am able to take care of myself, my family, my work, and my friends.
Where does Gwendolyn fit in?
She is in the family bucket.
Family, okay.
Because she is my dog child, if you recall, listeners at the beginning. I think Tony and I are what you call dinkwads.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, dual income, no children with a dog. So.
Oh, I haven't heard the with a dog part.
Yeah, dinkwads.
Okay.
We are
I'm sure that's pretty millennial as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was. There's one thing you take away from today. It's that I am a copy paste millennial. I think for me it would be like spending time with my husband and my dog, talking to my parents and my brothers on the phone, maybe going out to lunch with a friend, getting work done. But I hate, like Pat and I were just talking about this, as a business person and like my skill set as a business, I hate being in the weeds of work, like delivering on a client contract. I thrive in the vision setting part of work. So I would love to have a day where I'm vision setting with my team, and then they take the vision and they go with it and they do their thing. But like a day where I get to like just ideate would be a perfect work day.
Okay.
And of course, like health. So, doing my skincare routine, going to the gym, and just being outside. Like, I need the sun. That's why I'm a Californian. So like if a day of my life has been spent outside in the sun, it's been a good day.
Okay. So you would include work in your perfect day?
Yeah.
Okay.
But just the kind of work I want to do and nothing else.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that stands out to me because even for myself, I don't know how much work I would include. I might just say escaping to a lake for a day or something like that.
I didn't know that was an option.
Well, that's why I kept it open.
I'm so programmed that my mind, work just has to, it just has to be a part of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was your first answer, right?
Yeah.
It's what came to your head.
Yeah, totally.
So, cool. Well, I appreciate you entertaining my icebreaker. You had no idea what I was going to throw at you.
No.
So I feel like that was a nice, soft, slow pitch.
Yeah, trip me up. I need to think about what a perfect day would be for me for real. I need some time to reflect.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Go have your perfect day.
Yeah.
Let's get into the episode now. I'm really excited for this topic. Marianne, what did you used to think?
All right, Pat. So I used to think that love was a feeling. Now I know that love is an action, and therefore love is a choice.
I'm so excited for this. Okay. I know you've put a lot of research into this, but there's also a personal side to this topic for you.
Yeah.
So if it's okay with you, I would love to start with your story and then sort of like in the second half, get into what you've researched, what you've read, and that sort of thing.
So just to give some context, I'm married. I've been married for 9 years to the love of my life, from my soulmate, which we'll talk about, Tony. Hi, Tony, if you're listening. I met Tony when I was 20. We started dating when I was 21, and I got married when I was 23.
Okay.
And so I'm 32 now. No regrets. Hashtag no regrets. But the period of going from basically child to adult, getting married between 21 and 23 was a very intense period.
Okay.
So I'll tell you why. I was just absolutely, completely, and utterly infatuated with Tony, with my husband, just like utterly infatuated. I remember that I would go to sleep. The last thing I would think about him, like the last thing before I closed my eyes was him, and the first thing I thought of when I woke up was him. So, and he had no idea. My husband, if you guys ever meet him, is like a very chill. People always say that his spirit animal is sloth. Because he's just so, you see it, right? Like he's just a very calm man, very deliberate.
Yes.
Not at all like the bouncy, crazy person that he married, but you know what they say, those types of people marry each other. But so like I was incredibly infatuated with my friend, who was just my friend at the time.
Right.
Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore after a year of friendship, and I told him my feelings.
Okay.
And he was like, "Oh, I like you too." And I was like, "What the heck, man? You didn't tell me." And he's like, "I thought you knew. I thought it was obvious."
That's a classic guy response, and I'm guilty of that.
Did Jess do the same thing?
It was pretty much the same between us.
That is hilarious.
Although I asked her out.
Oh,
so
okay.
she didn't profess.
Okay. I was like, I can't take it anymore. If I need to know, because otherwise I can't be friends with him anymore.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I'm addicted to him. I'm
Right.
addicted to him. And I have to separate myself from him if he doesn't like me. So I told him.
Yeah.
And so we went on our first date that night. And then we dated. And it was amazing. And I remember downloading all of these pictures on my phone of like how I felt. Like, love is a love that is more than love. You know, those types of quotes like perfect love casts out fear. Whatever his soul is made out of, his and mine are the same. I remember those types of quotes because I was just like, oh my God, this man is the answer to my dreams. Okay, this is where the story gets a little weird. It went that way for about 9 months of pure bliss, of like me basically being addicted, and I finally got my fill. Like I'm finally getting my fill. Then I remember like 9 months, also pregnancy almost, okay, like birth.
I thought, sorry, for a second my brain was like, you guys became
No, like the amount of time it takes to give birth,
Oh,
which
sure.
I think is really symbolic and metaphorical.
Okay. The
I
birth of your
remember
love.
yes, exactly. I was looking at him and I was like, realized I stopped having that feeling that I got when I was with him.
Okay.
And I remember making eye contact with him. He was dropping me off at the car, and I remember thinking, I don't know if I love this guy anymore. And that thought caused such a tumultuousness in my belly that I had like a mental breakdown that lasted 6 months.
What?
Yeah, this is weird. It's weird. What happened to me was weird. But as I started speaking to people, I realized that people actually kind of go through what I threw. Not so intense, like not such a high and a low, but
Okay.
people actually a lot of people go through what I go through. And so that's why I share my stories, just in case there's anyone who's, oh my God, this is normal. I thought I was crazy. Because I remember being like, not really understanding myself. I was a child who was not that self-aware. And I remember like Googling, like, every time I think of my boyfriend, my stomach hurts. Like, I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
And I remember I kind of had to stop talking to Tony. And really what was happening was a mental battle that was so stressful, it was taking a physical toll on me. I lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks. I stopped eating. I remember laying in bed because I was confused. And here's what was happening. It was an extreme cognitive dissonance that was taking that physical toll on me, because I stopped fearing love for Tony. And my idea of love was centered on a foundation that love is a feeling. And now that I no longer had the feelings, that means I had to break up with this guy, because it means we're not meant to be, we're not soulmates. And so therefore I must break up with him.
Okay.
But the idea of breaking up with him was awful.
Sure.
And so that's what caused, it was like this vicious cycle that literally had a physical effect on me, that was happening in my heart and mind, that it was literally having a physical effect on me. So I kept going back and forth. I remember just driving myself into madness, trying to be like, okay, should I break up with him? Because it's for his own good. And because I've led this guy on for a year. And then I'm like, no, because, and then I would try to make myself have feelings for him. Okay, just think about him. Like, do you feel love? No, actually, I feel nausea. Like, I feel nausea because, and like I later learned, it's like trying to make yourself feel ticklish. Like, you can't tickle yourself.
Right.
You can't make yourself feel love. Like, it's as lost a cause as you trying to tickle yourself.
I want to know what Tony's going through during this time, from what you remember.
Poor Tony. He was very confused as I was. Because he was like, this girl's obsessed with me, and then now all of a sudden she gets sick when she thinks of me, because I was like very honest with him, which I think shows the strength of him as a person and the strength of our relationship. Is I pulled him, and he was confused and scared. Oh my God, just thinking about it makes me like have so much compassion on that young boy, because we were both kids. But he stuck with me, and we'll find out what's wrong with you. We'll understand. We'll figure it out together.
Yeah.
But I remember he would get so, like, I remember I would hate to myself, because I would talk to him on the phone, laying in bed, and he would be upset that I didn't eat that day. So he'd be like, please eat something. And that would just make me want to break up with him even more, because it would hurt my stomach so much. I don't know if anybody can, I don't know if I've never said it this raw. So I don't know if I can really explain the depths of what I was feeling.
Right.
But him showing compassion for me hurt me more, because he doesn't deserve this. He doesn't deserve me. Therefore, I must break up with him, right? Because he deserves someone better. But I don't want to break up with him, but I do want to break up with him, and thus the cycle continues. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, if I were to explain it, it's because in my mind, love is a feeling. Love is butterflies. Once I stopped, and so to me, our love story made sense up until I had that thought. Because I had the butterflies, I was obsessed with him, I was infatuated with him. By the way, he was my first boyfriend. I am one of those few people who ended up marrying her very first boyfriend, which I find, so did my mom. So I think there's just something about her family.
It's genetic.
Yeah, it's genetic, like something like to it. But I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Like, the love story makes sense. It matches the movies. Yeah. Like, my love story matches the movies. So what happens when my love story stops matching the movies? Like, now I doubt. And in our culture, doubt means don't. I'll just, like, real quick fast forward. I remember, like, last month I was on Instagram, which I try not to go on social media, and I especially try not to go into the black hole of social media, but on this particular day I did. And it was, like, on their threads, their competition to Twitter.
Yes, yeah.
And I remember this guy, like, posted this thread where he was like, I've been dating this girl for 5 years, and I want to propose to her, but I'm not so sure, because I feel like our relationship isn't passionate, and I love her, but I'm not in love with her. And what should I do? And I remember all of the comments being like, please don't marry her. Please don't marry her. May this love never find me. Like, they were like, almost all of the comments were like, love, like, you don't love her, and you are abusing her by staying with her.
Oh, I see.
And if I was 20 years old, I would have done the same exact thing, called him a monster and myself wise. If I was 20 years old.
Right.
I realize, like, I have much more wisdom now through the fire, like, through the trials and the fires that I went through of what love is, which is, like, what we'll get to. But, so going back, so really, like, I was like these people. To me, love was butterflies. It should make your skin on fire, and you should have passion. And that's the foundation of love, is what I thought. And so because these things had disappeared, now I don't love him anymore, and I'm confused. Okay, so I didn't know any of this at the time. I just know that my stomach hurts every time I think about him, which just shows how little my knowledge of self was at the time. So I remember Googling, why does my stomach hurt when I think of my boyfriend? Okay. And, like, on page 10 of Google, that I was deep into it.
After you have read pages 1 through 9?
Yes, 1 through 9. And pages 1 through 9 will, like, break up with him. It's not right. It's not right, break up with him.
Yeah.
Page 10, I found this woman. Her name was Cheryl Paul.
Okay.
She's, like, a mystic therapist. She's Jewish by tradition, but she's, like, she's a Jungian psychologist.
Oh, like Carl Jung.
Yeah,
okay.
Carl Jung. And she has this whole business dedicated to a word I had never heard before, which is relationship anxiety.
Oh, okay.
And relationship OCD and my family actually has OCD, and I have mild OCD. So I was having kind of OCD symptoms a little bit, like I was expressing those OCD tendencies, but really more so like the relationship anxiety piece. And she said something that shocked me that I had never heard before, which is why I evangelize what she says, which is doubt does not mean don't. Doubt is just a normal part of being a person who's at least wise enough to recognize that when you marry someone, it's for your whole life. And you're scared because you should be, because it's your whole freaking life. Life is long. As a 21-year-old, do I know what life was going to be like at 70 or even 30? No. So I'm glad like my young self had some wisdom to recognize the heaviness of what marriage actually means. Like if you really take marriage seriously, which is you will die in the ground with that person. Like you are going into the ground with that person. You should be afraid. Like you should be afraid.
Okay.
And like her saying that was shocking to me and shook me. It shook me because it made me question everything I had ever known. The wisdom of our culture, like I said, is that your marriage and your relationship is grounded in romanticism. So through her, I found a bunch of resources and I read this book that really changed the way I think, called Understanding the Psychology of Modern Romance by Robert Johnson, who is a Jungian psychologist.
Okay.
And so he actually talks about the history of romanticism, of how did we get to like our idea of what romanticism is and romance is here in America. And he makes this crazy claim, but I totally agree with him. And if you think it's crazy, you should read the book and see how strong his argument is. But he basically says that in our secular culture, we've replaced God, like the word God worship, with romance.
Okay.
Like romance has become a deity that we worship. And I actually think once you know that, you can't unsee it. It is in every aspect of our society. I'll just give an example of my favorite song that I think is the perfect example. I hate the song because it's overplayed and it's catchy. I hate when it's overplayed and catchy. It's like the worst combination.
I think those always go together.
Yeah, they right. That's why I hate most like top 40s. But the song, you know, I think it's Hosier or Hosier. I think his name. I don't know. And the song goes, "Take me to church. I'll worship like a dog at the shrine of your life.
Right.
You can take me my sins and now something nice." Like the lyrics are very like he's basically the point of the song is he loves her so much. He thinks he loves her. He doesn't know what love is, but he loves her so much, quote unquote, that he worships her. And that is everywhere. So even like every rom-com, if you think about it, is a religious movie. In the sense that they're looking for something to complete them, right? There's something missing in their lives. The movie starts with them something missing in their lives. They're empty. And by the end of the movie, they have found the thing that will make them whole. That is worship. That is worship.
Right.
And isn't it funny that we never, like, all of the rom-coms are about them getting to the point where they're finally together? Like, we never see a movie about two people already happily married.
Or especially unhappily married.
Or unhappily married. If it's unhappily married, it's a divorce movie and it's brave and it's daring. But we don't like, and those are still far and few in between.
Right.
Like even those are far and few in between. Like we don't see. I'm assuming also like nobody's gonna watch a movie about me and Tony because they're gonna just watch us like drinking tea together and watching TV. Like there's no drama. There's no drama.
Right.
But like the chase of a relationship is like almost like a religious ritual. It's almost like a religious ritual. And so really even like deeper than what I was experiencing was like the cognitive dissonance of, even though I didn't think of myself as someone who worships romance, I did worship romance. I was expecting Tony to fulfill my every need and make me whole. And the thing is, this is how false gods work, is that he did, not him, because he didn't even know, the poor guy didn't even know that I was objectifying him in this way. But like his presence did fill me for a long time, for 9 months.
Sure.
But it's only a matter of time before that feeling goes away. And so what was happening, what I was experiencing was an extreme crash. It was a spiritual crash and it was a mental crash. And it was like a mental like schema crash because I had this framework for how the world worked and I thought it was true. And so now what happens when you find out that your truth is actually a sham? It shatters your whole world. Sure. And so that's why I was in bed for, weeks, just like throwing up and, losing 10 weight because I basically, my whole entire worldview, which was based off of this false god of romance, like crashed to the ground.
Only if you're willing, but prior to Tony, were your crushes very similar? You just fell head over heels for that person.
Yes. But the difference between them is that so I did objectify boys. Like, I would take them, like their essence or their image, and I would turn them into a shrine in my mind.
Okay.
And I had kept a diary since I was 8 years old, so I cannot.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah. I can't lie to myself. If anyone wants the evidence, it is there. Pick your boy of the month. Pick your boy of the month. And who I was obsessed with. Tony was different, and that's why and I remember even deep down thinking like, oh, I'm obsessed with this boy, but if he liked me, I wouldn't date him. So I knew that I was playing a game with myself.
Okay.
Like, I knew I was playing a game with myself, where I was just kind of treating them as like a thing to be obsessed with.
Right.
And actually, funny story. I remember there was a guy, poor guy in high school, who like liked me and asked me out.
Okay.
And I said yes. And I actually went into extreme relationship anxiety immediately because he's just a boy. I barely even remember his name. There's nothing like interesting. Like, there was no actual connection.
Right.
He was just a boy who thought I was cute, and I thought he was cute.
Sure.
So I immediately went into the relationship anxiety where I'm like, oh my God, I don't think I like him. What should I do? And I broke up with him 4 hours later. And he hated me for the rest of high school. Like, he wouldn't even look at me for the rest of high school. So yes, I have always done that. The difference is that with Tony, there was an actual real connection. Like, he was my best friend. Mm-hmm. And that's why I was so confused. If that connection wasn't there, I would have broken up with him and it would have been a horrible thing. But that's why I was so confused, is because I was like, this guy is my best friend. He's like the man of my dreams. Why don't I love him? Why can't I feel the feelings that I'm supposed to have for him if he's literally perfect?
You said 6 months.
Yeah.
So then, obviously you found, what was her name, Paula?
Cheryl Paul.
Oh, Cheryl Paul.
Yeah.
So you found Cheryl Paul during that time. Okay, what happened then, post 6 months?
So basically, like, for a good solid year, maybe even 2 years, I had to completely deconstruct my view of everything. Like, my view of everything. Because I didn't realize what a house of cards my view of the world was. And I had to deconstruct everything I thought I knew and rebuild it. A lot of it was spiritual stuff. Like, I feel like I had a spiritual awakening. So I'm really like, and I remember Cheryl Paul saying this like in her classes, and I was like, that'll never happen to me, but she was so right. She said, one day you'll be thankful that you went through this. And I was like, nah, this is like awful. There's no way. But I'm so glad it happened to me.
Went through the infatuation.
And the crash.
Okay.
Like the crash and the like trauma of like love, or what I thought was love. And so I had to deconstruct everything, and it was a spiritual awakening of what it means to be human. I feel like there's a period of Marianne before and Marianne after. The Marianne before was a child who had no self-awareness, couldn't even articulate really like who she was. Like a child, like children don't have that much self-awareness. The ones that do are like amazing, they're precocious. And then, like, after this happened, I feel like I became more self-aware. And I had to completely rebuild my idea of love. I'm so grateful. It's so weird because my parents have been happily married for 30-something years, and my mom was, like, confused.
Why you were going through that?
Yeah, because she was like, duh.
Oh, I gotta love mothers.
Yeah, like, the lessons that I was learning in the very hard way, she already knew. So I'm like, why didn't I use my parents as an example? And instead I like look to romantic comedies and like culture. When also like my controversial belief is that our cultural worship of romance has completely destabilized marriage. Like, I think a lot of people blame different reasons for why marriage is in shambles in America. I think it's because of this. Because I'll give you an example. This woman, I consider her, she does her best, but like I've never said this publicly because I don't like to insult people who are brave enough to put their thoughts out online, but she's famous enough and she's never going to hear about this. But you know the woman who wrote Eat, Pray, Love?
Oh, I don't know who she is.
Her name is Elizabeth Gilbert.
Okay. And
she wrote a book that is very triggering to a lot of people who are like me, but it's called Eat, Pray, Love. Okay. And in it, it's her real life account. And she wrote a book about how she was married, happy, but not that happy. Just like she realized that she loved her husband, but she wasn't in love with her husband. Okay. Which, if you ever hear someone say, is such a red flag that they don't know what love is. Like, and I'm sorry for the people. I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone, but these are my opinions. But and also I think there's like you could know them by their fruit, and there's fruits. So she felt like she loved her husband, but she wasn't in love with him. So she decided to divorce him.
Okay.
Feel bad for that guy, and go to India and find her true self. And so the book is about her like eating in Italy, pray, I don't know, whatever. But like she ended up falling in love with this guy, and she married him, and that's the end of the book. And she's happily married, except after she published this book, it became a bestseller, inspired thousands of women to divorce their husbands. She ended up realizing that she loved this second husband, but she wasn't in love with this husband. And she ended up marrying her best friend, who, like, her best friend had cancer. And so that's when she realized that she was actually in love with her best friend, and her best friend got cancer. So, like, the chase, the drama, like, again, the worship of romance. So she ended up divorcing the second husband and married her best friend until her best friend died. And this woman is like a leader, a thought leader in women, like, feminine spaces.
Okay.
I see her everywhere. Like, good for her. I guess some people are in bad marriages, which I won't talk about, but if you love your husband but you're not in love with him, like, obviously there's a pattern here, which is like you're chasing something that cannot be found in another human being.
Yeah, you make a good point, because there's a line that needs to be drawn depending on the health of the relationship. You're not out here saying never divorce your spouse.
Yeah.
And that there's no, again, line that needs to be drawn. But you're speaking from your experience.
Yeah. I'm talking about feeling. Like, if you don't feel... So what I think, and this is like the wisdom of my mom and my dad and like the many happily married people in my life, but for some reason I like threw that in the trash. I went on Pinterest for what love is, but like, love is not a feeling. Feelings come and go. Love is an action. So people expect, here's like the great mistake, like a logical fallacy people have. People think that the feeling of love has to come first for the action to come. It's actually the opposite. The action has to come first for the feeling to come. And sometimes the feeling comes and sometimes it doesn't. The feeling is a gift, but it is not the requirement, it is not the expectation, and it is least of all the foundation of what your marriage should be. And I remember my mom told me this when I was a kid. Like, she said it in her immigrant way, so it's not perfect English, but I remember her saying, Marianne, you should always respect your husband, because there will be times where you don't feel like you love him, but your respect will get you through to those times.
Sure, right.
What she means is showing love. That's what she was trying to say. If you have to show love to your husband, because there will be times that are hard. Life is long. Life is hard. And you having the discipline and the practice of love as an action will get you through the times when you don't feel love for him. And that could be whatever your love language is. Your like acts of service, physical affection, quality time. You have to have that. You have to do that, even when you don't feel like it.
What are your favorite rom-coms?
I don't have any. I know that was one of the questions. I really don't like rom-coms. I love chick flicks, though. Would you count Mean Girls as a rom-com? Probably not.
No, not so much.
I guess maybe there's one rom-com that I really like, and it's 10 Things I Hate About You.
Okay.
And that's just because it's such a classic, and I really see myself in the older sister. So
I'm just trying to figure out which movies influenced you.
Oh, as a kid.
Right, with this mindset.
Yeah. I would say, I was a bit not boyish, but I liked action movies.
Okay.
Where the guy gets the girl at the end.
Okay.
I don't know.
Where he rescues the girl, or
he gets the girl.
Okay, just
or
takes the girl.
vice versa. But there's always like the prize at the end is the relationship.
Okay.
I always liked that. And then of course TV shows. Friends. I was obsessed with Friends. Still am, honestly. But now, oh gosh, Rachel, Ross, get it together. They're an example of what it is when love is a feeling, which is the drama and the chase. Monica and Chandler are such a good example of when love is an action.
This came to my mind as we were talking about how there are very few portrayals in media of anything past infatuation.
Yes.
What's that Scarlett Johansson movie with
Adam Driver?
Yeah.
I think it's like Divorce Story or something.
What?
Marriage Story. But they end up divorcing.
Is that what happens at the end?
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't watch it because that's, to me, I just feel bad because marriage takes a lot of grit. I'll tell you, you have to know me and my husband. I am deeply in love with him, but I don't take it for granted. And I know that that feeling, there have been times where I didn't feel that love, but I still showed him the love. And same with my parents too. There's a lot of like elements of making a marriage work that I just don't understand why we don't teach it. Because some people are lucky enough to have the blueprint in their own lives, but most people in America are not so lucky. So I always felt like, why don't we have it in a class about how to make it, like in high school? Like, this is what makes a good marriage. I'll tell you, like, I remember the story that my mom told me when I was getting married, which was when she got married to my dad, she got really annoyed from him because my dad can be very stubborn, like a very stubborn man. And so she called his dad to complain. So she called her father-in-law to complain about his son.
Okay.
And my grandpa was like, hey, now, this is the guy you married. You could either make this marriage horrible by fighting against who he is and end up and you guys both hate each other until you guys die, or you can make this marriage great by accepting the fact that like he is who he is. And there's such wisdom in that. Again, there's a difference between like toxic traits,
right?
But there are human traits, like flaws. My dad, he can't not be who he is, right? He will work on himself for the things that are like hurtful. And he's she knows she has it good with him. But there are things like about him being annoying. Him being like, okay, just to give you an example of something my mom would get annoyed from about my dad is that he has really poor attention to detail. And he would lose us. Literally lose
like
his
at the
children.
ball or?
Yes.
Okay.
He can't control that. He's not a bad man, right? She can't get mad at him for that. He tries, but he can't help it. That's the kind of stuff. And so there's a lot of radical, and that's another book I would recommend is actually Radical Acceptance. I can't remember the name of the author. And there's one that's a Buddhist book, and there's one that's a marriage book that have the same title.
Okay.
Go for the marriage book. And it's about like wholly accepting your human partner for what they are, which is not a god, not a perfect person who's here to make you happy for the rest of your life,
right? But
it's human person. And when you guys can make room for each other, I really think that's the formula for marriage is make room for each other, accept that you guys are both human, and learn to love each other in action, regardless of how you feel about them. If you do that, if both of you do that, I don't think you're gonna get divorced. Yeah, and I don't know, I think it's that simple, but maybe I'm just not old enough. Maybe I still need another 20 years to figure it out.
What if 18-year-old you had found Cheryl Paul? Because I'm thinking about our listeners who are single or maybe just started dating. I think it's hard to relate to a lot of this because I can relate to you because I've been married for 2 years now. We don't have exactly the same story, but I understand the infatuation phase. I remember it. Actually, I was just talking with Jess about it the other day. I asked her how long did you think our infatuation stage was? And she said 2 years. And I would agree with that. It was about that.
The biological age of infatuation is 2 years.
Is 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay. The fall wasn't as hard. I think for either of us. I should be curious if Jess could relate to your story. But going back to my question, what if single you had found the stuff that Cheryl Paul was talking about?
I would say she was stupid.
Okay.
I would say, this woman doesn't know what she's talking about. Love is this magical, wonderful thing, and I feel so bad for her that she doesn't love her husband. That's what I think I would do as an 18-year-old. And I'm sure there are a lot of people listening who are, this girl, I feel so bad for her. Her marriage is doomed or something, I don't know. But that's because they don't see my marriage,
Sure.
And they don't realize, and this is what I wish I knew, is real love, not infatuation love, but real love is so much deeper. It's so much more beautiful, and I think it's so much more spiritual. There's another book I read called First Comes Marriage, which I also recommend. But she actually she interviews a lot of couples who've been married for 50, 60, 70 years, and a lot of them will say it's like you become one person. And so that's what I think is just so tragic about romance, is us worshiping romance, is everybody wants that. Everybody wants to be one with their partner. But the way they do it is such a corruption and the subversion that what they end up getting is the exact opposite of what they want, which is divorce and misery and jumping from one relationship to the other and looking for it.
Right.
It's tragic.
Is there such a thing as good romance? Because I like what you said earlier, that it's a gift, that the infatuation stage, whether it comes or not, is a gift and part of the relationship. So what role should romance, and when I say romance, I mean rather than what you're referring to as real love or deep love, What role does it play?
I think it plays an important part. Like, I still am very romantic with with my husband. My dad says I have a very romantic personality. So, like, I'm very like, oh, daddy, oh, Tony, oh, mama, I'm not like very cuddly. Like, I have a very cuddly personality.
Okay.
I think romance is really important, and it's something that you have to, romance, again, I see it as an action. It's something you have to work on. Like, you have to deliberately do, or else you guys can like lose yourselves like in life, right? You always hear about the parents who don't make time for each other. I think romance is an action you should take, almost as a way to stoke the fire of your marriage over time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for context, you and I met at a Christian community group. So you and I identify as Christian. I think you're using a lot of spiritual language. The Hosier lyrics, that's interesting, because as you were quoting them, it sounded like a sacrifice on an altar.
Yeah,
like
right?
The way he was describing it. And then, so correct, listeners can correct me, but that song was, I believe, written as a critique to the Catholic Church regarding their stance on homosexuality.
I did not catch a whiff of that. I did not. Wow, I didn't see that. I thought he's just in love with this girl and he's going to kill himself for her. It's like a human sacrifice. Like, he loves her so much that he like worships at her and he'll kill himself in front at her altar or something. That's what I thought that's how I read it.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense that you interpret it that way. I looked up the Wikipedia article, I remember now, in preparation for our conversation. But going to like the religious, the spiritual language, I guess there's a part of me that, because we're post-Enlightenment, right? We're rational, post-Enlightenment Americans now.
So we think.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You take this with a tone of irony. Yeah. And we don't believe that the rains come because we sinned, or the rains don't come because we sinned, and the rains.
Yeah.
The weather is affected by our actions and things like that.
Yeah.
So.
Which is kind of ironic because it totally is.
Oh, when you talk about climate change.
Yeah, it totally is. So it's actually who has the last laugh.
You're just shooting down all my metaphors.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess
for a non-religious, right, America now. So what does that look like to pursue real love? I mean, should people think of it as I need to stop worshiping it, or how does that work for the average person?
Okay, I think that's such a good question, Pat. I don't know if I have the answer, but what I do know is look at the fruits of the things you believe in. And by the way, very, very valid criticisms of Christianity if we're going to talk about fruit. So I'm not saying be Christian.
Sure.
But I'm not trying to evangelize them. But look at the fruits of what you believe in. Even within a religion, look at the subsets of that religion. Right, so I think there's a lot of fruits to be had within Christianity that I ascribe to, and I don't really ascribe to other beliefs in Christianity that I think has rotten fruit. Mm-hmm. So same with love. Look at the fruit of our culture and our culture's view on love. Do you think America has a love problem? People blame a lot of things, and I think this all may be partially true. But do you really think it's just feminism is the thing that caused all of these divorces to happen? Are you sure? Or just poverty? If rich people are getting divorced?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Yeah, let's go deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Go deeper, and then ask yourself. And that's what the danger of a false god is that it's usually very sexy on the top at the top.
Right.
Like the golden bowl is way sexier, right? Than praying at a temple for 8 hours a day or whatever it is.
Oh, okay.
It's sexier. So, but the thing is, the crash is always really hard. Mm-hmm. So I'm not here to tell anyone what to do, but look at what you want out of life, and look at the people who are doing what are they doing to get there, and just follow them.
Mm-hmm. I don't want you to have to put anyone on the spot, but I guess so more generally, do you see things getting better, like the people around you, your generation, your community? I mean, I know divorce rates are really high. So I have a lot of friends who had divorced parents, and divorce will always be around. But I'm just wondering if you see a shift in the narrative or anything that sort.
Yeah, I don't know. I always, in my mind, I'm like, wow, people are so educated and nobody divorces anymore. And like, people are so smart and the world is going in such a good direction. But it's just because all of my friends, because I'm just paying attention to my friends who are happily married. Like, we all kind of are the same. Even my non-religious friends, they practice self-sacrifice in their marriage and they have a good marriage together. They are educated, you know, they care about the world. So I don't know. I know statistically millennials have the lowest rate of divorce, which is cool. Yeah, so take that, boomers. But but also we have some of the lowest rates of marriage. So really what you could say is the people who might not, who, like the people who are getting married. And I will say almost all of my girlfriends who got married went through what I went through in some capacity. And I'm so glad that I got married so early because I was able to be there for all of them.
That's beautiful.
And yeah, and it's because, but also all my girlfriends are like smart girls who take marriage seriously. So of course they were gonna be afraid to walk this cliff into the unknown. Like, of course they are. They're smart.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess, what do you think?
I mean, based on that statistic, what I'm interpreting is it just sounds like more recent generations are more cautious about marriage because of the ones who are cynical about marriage just aren't getting married in the first place.
Exactly.
So it kind of like, even though divorce rates are lower, marriage rates are lower.
Yeah.
Just
Like the people who
shifts.
are getting married are the people who are in it for the long haul. I don't know if this is necessarily a good thing or a bad thing because I'm like, sometimes, I guess for some people, I do have some friends who are single and they plan on staying single.
Okay.
And they're happy and I'm happy for them. But I have some friends who want to be married, but they can't get over that hump, like these cultural humps that they have. And so they have a really hard time. And yeah, it's hard.
The cultural obstacle of just being, of not feeling in love, is that?
Yeah, of wanting to worship and wanting to be worshipped. Like thinking that that's what marriage is.
Okay. I'm at the age where I'm going to weddings. So I don't... Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to have to think about that more. I'm 26. So I've been to a lot of weddings in the past 3 years.
Yep.
And
Peak wedding time.
this is peak, especially for Christians and the Christian community.
Yeah.
Because my non-Christian friends and acquaintances are a little surprised that I'm married at 26. And for me, I'm just like, that's just the Christian thing.
Yeah, I remember a lot of my friends were like shocked and dismayed when they found out I was getting married that I got engaged at 21.
Okay.
That is exceptional. By the way, I was exceptionally young. Like, my mom was scared. So she's, wait, you never even dated anyone and now you're bringing this guy home? And I was like, yeah, well, you did it. You did that. So, but yeah, she, like, I got married a little too young, I think, but it worked out for me. But a lot of people will be like, oh, does that mean I could get married at 23? And I'm like, no. It's not. Just because I got married at 23 and it worked out doesn't mean that, like, unless you do the work. But if you are just like bright-eyed and, oh, it's going to be amazing and it's my happily ever after, no, wait. Do the work first and then we'll talk.
So you're saying we would have waited?
No, I think things are just meant to, you know what, I take it back. I think just things work out the way they work out.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm really grateful. It all worked out so well for me. I'm so grateful.
Right. That story about the Eat, Pray, Love lady, I didn't know that. I heard about, there's a movie, right?
Yeah.
So I heard about the movie.
Jennifer, what's her name? Julia Roberts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a big name.
Yeah.
And I have so many thoughts, but I'm just curious, have you critiqued then, like, this kind of modern version of feminism where the goal is just to find this, like, freedom?
That's a good question because I, like, you know, Pat, I am a feminist, but I kind of just curate whatever, you know, just like my work, I do whatever the hell I want. I kind of curate like the people that I like. And there's actually this feminist scholar, she wrote a book called Burnout about like women in stress, getting stressed out until they burn out. Mm-hmm. And she talks about how in a lot, this is not my marriage, but in a lot of other marriages, there's always givers and takers. And so women are givers who give and give and give, and the men might be, we're socialized to be takers, who expect the woman kind of to be like, he's the main character and the wife is here to support him.
Right.
And so if you're a giver married to a taker, you give and give until you can't, and they take and take and take until you can't give anymore and you burn out. And I think pop feminism would say, okay, then you be a taker.
Right.
Like, why should you give? Be a taker.
Yeah.
You know, if they're taking, you take. If they're sleeping with everyone, you sleep with everyone. If they're like, you know, doing this, you should do this. And like,
Right.
but what this book argues is that actually everyone should be a giver. And that is what I think is
Okay.
everyone should be a giver. So rather than the woman changing herself to be as free as a man and sleep with whoever she wants or like whatever, people can do whatever the hell they want. I don't care. But for me personally, and people who are like me,
Sure.
who don't want to sleep with a million people and just want to be married to one person, make sure you marry someone who's also a giver. Is the advice I would give. And or both of you guys should. I think it's a bit reductionist to say women are givers, men are takers. That's like a critique I'll have on the book. Because I think in truth we're all a little bit of both, but really we should all work to be givers. That is something we should challenge ourselves to be. If we were a society of givers, then we wouldn't have no problems. Unfortunately, we are all a little bit of takers, and so we have a lot of problems.
How has your relationship with Tony evolved over time? Obviously, he was strong enough to survive your deluge of freakouts, and then. So you guys got married how long after you were dating?
So we dated for 1 year.
Okay.
Got engaged. So while I was in the middle of this, we got engaged. But as I was picking up the pieces, we got engaged.
So he wasn't freaked out enough to not propose?
No, my husband, if anyone ever meets him, is like the gentlest, most easygoing, like wise man you'll ever meet. He's like, he was like, oh, okay, we'll get through this. It's okay.
This whole episode is going to be like a Tony fangirl episode because I love Tony.
Yeah, it's hard not to love him. Yeah.
Okay. And then you got married. How were things the first couple of years of marriage then?
Wonderful, yeah. Like by the time we got married, like I realized because I was afraid of the cliff. And on the day of my wedding, I was shaking so bad because I was so freaking sick. It felt like a death. I think, like I said, this was a spiritual awakening for me, my whole marriage process. So it felt like I was literally dying. And I was. Single Marianne was dying at the wedding ceremony, and married Marianne was being born. So I was feeling that very physically. And so even like my dad was live streaming it to his brothers in Egypt, and they're like, oh my God, she's so cold. Because they could see me shaking. But I was actually shaking from the fear.
Wow.
But once I jumped off the cliff, everything broke. I stopped being afraid because I'm dead now. Like that, you know, she's dead.
Yeah.
Married Marianne is born. And
Yeah.
now there's a new Marianne I'm afraid of, which will be like, you know, like all marriages end eventually, right? And so I'm like, okay, I won't think about that Marianne. So that might be a little too dark, but like now I understand. It's like an extreme change in identity is what I experienced.
Right.
And so, but yeah, once I got married, life was beautiful, and I'm so grateful for him. He is my soulmate, and to me, soulmates is something that gets built. It's not something that's found. And so every year we build a little bit more, and I can see when they say you and him become one, like every year I see it a little bit more, and like my love for him gets deeper, my understanding of him as a human gets deeper. And the really paradoxical thing is the more I see him as a human, the more I actually love him. As opposed to when I loved him as an image, as an object of my worship. Like I love him more now.
Right.
Yeah, I love him. Yeah.
So did Tony not have his own infatuation phase?
No, he was not infatuated. He was like, I like this girl. She makes a good wife. I shall marry her. He did not do none of this. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Is there anything we missed about romantic versus real love that you wanted to bring up?
I don't want people to be confused and think that I'm saying no to romance or no to the romantic phase. But I do remember like in college in my behavioral health classes learning about what a marriage is, and the way they did it was so critical, and I remember thinking like ill about the companionship piece.
Okay.
The way they made the romance part seem like the best. And it is fun. It has its place, I think, in the beginning. There's an actual bioevolutionary reason for infatuation. I think it has its place. It just can't be the thing that you use as the guide for what a good marriage is. Otherwise, you fall into the trap of marriage, divorce, marriage, divorce, marriage, divorce, always looking for it. Always looking for the thing that will finally free you and save you and make you whole. And I don't know where you'll find it, but it's definitely not in a human being.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, this was great. I think I'm gonna have a major vulnerability hangover after this, but you know, it's good. I like to share my story out there just in case if anyone has experienced what I experienced, please come to me. I have so many resources for you. You are not alone and you are not weird, and your marriage or your relationship is not doomed.
What is a vulnerability hangover?
Oh, that's the feeling of shame you get after you overshare. Brene Brown calls it a vulnerability hangover, and I really like it because I totally get those.
That's relatable.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
Just, it's all about, what's the word? Where you identify something, a feeling. Tagging, that's not the phrase.
Well, that's a very Gen Z thing to say. Like,
Framing? No. What am I thinking of?
articulation?
I don't know. We should just end the episode.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Marianne.